On this slide, you see the agenda for our 8th free session for German A1 level. Please pause if you want to have a look at it. If you are joining the session for the first time, then you are welcome to our sessions. This happens to be our 8th session. If you wish to join further live sessions, then you can contact us at our email address, which you can see at the bottom of the slide at the center. Many of you already know the intention behind offering these sessions. These sessions are not explicitly designed to prepare you for any kind of a language exam. In these sessions, you will learn some important topics for A1 level German that I think are important if you want to be able to speak German in your daily life. All right, you have already seen the slide. You see 3 tables. From the first table, you know the nominative, accusative, and dative cases for bestimmte Artikel. From the second table, you know the accusative and dative cases for unbestimmte Artikel. From the third table, you know the accusative and dative cases for Negationsartikel. This slide, however, is not complete, and you know this because we discussed this in the last session. And my request was to you was to find out the missing information, and I hope you tried to find out the missing information. If not, let's discuss that right now. All right. The missing information is, as usual, of course, with respect to the dative case, and there are two missing pieces of information. So the first red banner gives you the hint for the first piece of missing information, and that is you add the alphabet N at the end of noun for plural. One more rule that you need to remember is you add the alphabet N to the plural noun in dative case only when the noun itself does not end with N. What do I mean by that? For example, the plural for woman in German is Frauen, as it is already ending with the alphabet N. So here you do not add N again in dative case. When you now consider the plural for men in German, it is Männer. So here you will add the alphabet N in dative case. What is the other piece of missing information? You have to add the alphabet E at the end of singular noun in dative case. But if you ask me, from what I have observed, this rule is not a hard rule. For some singular nouns, this rule is important. For many others, it is not. For example, the German word for home is Haus, and when the house is in a sentence in dative case, you add the alphabet E at the end. For example, you must have heard or read sentences like Ich gehe nach Hause, ich bleib zu Hause. Here you add E at the end. Also, one more example which I can give you is there is a phrase in German and it starts with im Grunde genommen. Please find out what the statement means and I will repeat this. The phrase is im Grunde genommen. Please find out what that means. Now, on the slide, you see some German verbs. You may know meanings of many of them. What I would request you to do now is try to rewrite sentences using these verbs, and please use objects where you have to use the dative case. For example, the very last verb erklären. One sample sentence using this verb can be Ich erkläre den Studenten die Regel. I'll repeat. Ich erkläre den Studenten die Regel. You see this slide because I want you to evaluate your progress. Two important aspects of learning German, as you might know, is the knowledge of nouns with correct nominative article, and of course the knowledge of verbs. As part of your homework, you have already made a list of nouns and verbs that you need for your daily life, be it professional or personal. Please pause the video if you want to guess what are the German words for this English words. On this slide, you can see the answers. Again, pause the video and see if you know the German words. Here are the answers. For the next two slides, I don't have the answers. I have the answers, but I don't have slides for them. Please find out what the German words are. All right. On this slide, you see a list of adjectives that I think are important. why I think are important is because many times you can describe states of objects or people by just using the verb sein and adjectives. For example, if you're in a restaurant and food comes to you, and you can say that's SNS warm, or you can say that's SNS kalt. I mean, depending upon if it should be warm or cold. And then you can give that feedback to the waiter who is serving you. All right, this is simple homework for you. Please try to describe different rooms of your apartment using adjectives. And then also please try to describe different objects found in each of those rooms. Two more new words that you learned today are zu and sehr. They both technically imply the same thing, to or very, but the word sehr usually implies something positive and the word zu implies something not so positive. For example, if you want to say the slides are good, you can say die Folien sind gut. If you want to praise even more, you might say die Folien sind sehr gut. Or you want to say the slides are bad, then you may say die Folien sind schlecht. Or if you are real disappointed with my slides, then you might say die Folien sind zu schlecht. Now, how to use the word nicht along with the words zu and sehr. One simple analogy that you can use is think of when you say in English not so good or not so bad. And that is how you can use nicht zu or nicht sehr. Here you are actually trying to negate the expression. Please, as part of your homework, try to write different sentences with zu, sentences with sehr, nicht zu, and of course nicht sehr. Alright, the idea behind the next several slides is to introduce you to something called as Wechselpräpositionen. What are Wechselpräpositionen? You will have some decent understanding of them in a few minutes. Before we do that, let us try to consider a scenario. Many of us live in rented apartments in Germany, and we move quite often. During relocation, we usually take help of relocation company. They help us in moving our stuff. Now imagine you have moved to your new place. You have almost moved to your new place, and you are doing unpacking, and you are doing unpacking with the help of employees of relocation company. They are helping you arrange the furniture at your new place. And let us assume these guys only speak German and they only understand German. So how will you give them instructions? To do that, you need knowledge of, if you ask me, 5 basic things. You should know the verbs stellen, liegen, hängen. Stellen means to keep, liegen means to lie, hängen usually means to hang. Again, they can have different meanings depending on the context, but here they mean what I just said. That was the first thing that you need to know. Second is you should know the German words for different areas in your apartment. For example, Kinderzimmer, Wohnzimmer, Küche, Flur, and other rooms in your apartment. Arbeitszimmer, for example. Third, you should know the German words for different items in your apartment, the stuff that you own. Fourth is you should know the correct pronouns to use while you are interacting with the employees. Fifth, the magical word bitte, which means please. I hope you know that. So this is the syntax that you may use to frame instructions. Please do not worry if they look complicated. It is actually quite simple. Focus on the first sentence and only the highlighted words. You start with the word bitte, then you use the verb stellen, then the next word is the personal pronoun you use for employees, then you mention the object of furniture, then the preposition in, followed by the corresponding room in your apartment. Please remember 2 more rules. The article of the object as well as the area in your apartment must be in accusative form for this particular sentence. You don't necessarily have to use the word bitte. If you don't want to do it, then the second syntax gives you the second sentence gives you the syntax without using the word bitte. Again, remember to make sure that the object and the room are, the articles of the object and the room are in accusative, if there is any article. And please do not forget to conjugate the verb that you are using. Here we are using stellen, so please conjugate it as per the subject. Here the subject is a personal pronoun. What you learned so far is how to give instructions. Here you will learn how to ask for instructions, because you have to understand how to ask for instructions. It's actually easy, so I skipped that slide. Please go back to that slide if you want to have a look at it. Okay, uh, here is a homework for you. Please pause and go through the tasks for homework. You would think this homework does not look important for daily life, and if you say that, I agree with you 100%. But the idea behind this homework is not to prepare you to be able to give instructions, because you're not moving almost every second day. The idea is to introduce you to using statements with dative and then statements with accusative, so that your brain gets used to uh, using dative and accusative articles. This is why you should do this homework. This is an optional homework. If you are already or soon going to be looking for a new apartment, then please do this homework. Might make your life easier. You will now learn to use sentences where only dative is needed. Let us say you are looking for something in your apartment or office. How will you frame such a question? One way is to use the following syntax. You use the W word wo. Usually it means where. Then you have the correct conjugated form of the verb sein. Then you have the object that you are looking for. Here you may choose to use an article for the object. Here I have only mentioned the bestimmte article. For masculine, feminine, neutral, and plural objects, you may use unbestimmte article as well. What you need to remember is, please use nominative article for the object. You know the reason if you attended the live session or any of the previous sessions. As usual, you now answer this question. One way is to use the following syntax. You use the correct nominative article for the object, then this object itself, then you have the correct conjugated form of the verb sein. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If all you want to do is just say in which the room the object of interest is, then you use the preposition in followed by the dative article for the room where the object is. And of course, at the end, you have to mention the room. Now, if you are wondering how to know when the stuff following preposition in is dative and when accusative in previous slides, then you are about to figure it out. Another way to create this dialogue is the use of the verb stehen instead of the verb sein. Please pause the video and go through the syntax. Now, there will be times when you would like to provide more information. By more information, I mean you would like to say statements like, the book is on the table in the living room, or the chips are on the refrigerator in the kitchen, or the calendars are next to the printer in the office. What I'm trying to say is you will need more prepositions than just in. And these prepositions that you see over here are referred to as Wechselpräpositionen. Now there will be times, all right, I already gave you that information. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, here is the syntax that you need to use Wechselpräpositionen. Please focus on the first question. You use the W word wo, then you have the verb sein. The verb sein usually does not imply any action or movement, so here the object is in nominative form. You may provide two answers to this question. You can simply say in which room the object is. For this, you use the preposition in, and what comes after in is in dative form. If you want to provide more information, you may use other Wechselpräpositionen, and that is you can see in the syntax for the second sentence. You may find it difficult to use the verb sein to provide more information. Then you may use the verbs stehen or liegen or hängen. Stehen usually means to stand, liegen usually means to lie, hängen usually means to hang. On this slide, you see some examples to tell you when to consider a dative and when to consider accusative for Wechsel Präpositionen. In the first column, you have the Wechsel Präpositionen. In the second, you have examples where the sentences imply some action or movement is involved. And this is where it should be accusative. In the third column, you have examples where the sentences imply there is no action or movement being described. And this is where it must be in dative. Please pause the video and go through each example. There are certain verbs that I use quite often. I am not talking about the verbs sein and haben. For example, the verb finden. I sometimes, not sometimes, quite often say one-line sentences instead of complicated sentences. And I already gave you some examples in the live session, so you know what I'm getting at by showing you this slide. The idea is that you list the verbs that you quite often use in English and find the corresponding German verbs and try to write those sentences in German. For example, I quite often say, I find it good, I find it bad, I find it really good, I find it interesting. And that's why I'm saying ich finde, then the accusative article and the object of my interest, and then schon. I can use other adjectives as well. Besser, warm, kalt. I hope you get the idea. All right. Quite often we just want to say, I like this, I don't like this, I like that, or I don't like that. You might use these expressions which you see on the slide to express your likes or dislikes, or like or dislike for an object or a situation or someone's behavior. One way you can express this in German is by using the verb gefallen. You use the subject that you like or don't like, then the conjugated form of the verb gefallen, then you use the dative form of corresponding personal pronoun. Few examples that I can think of, please pay attention, are die Wohnung gefällt mir nicht, to say I don't like the apartment. Die Farbe gefällt mir nicht, to say I don't like the color. Die Folien gefallen mir, to say I like the slides. Die Folien gefallen mir nicht, to say I don't like the slides. Or you may express someone else's likes or dislikes. Winter gefällt ihm nicht. He doesn't like winter. Sommer gefällt ihr. She likes summer. Streiten gefällt uns nicht. We don't like to fight. Or we don't like fight. So, literally speaking, gefallen means to appeal. Like if you say if you use gefallen to describe something about you, you're saying what appeals to you. But what I have seen is that people normally use this to express their likes or dislikes, like what they like or what they don't like. And these need not be limited to objects. It can be some situation, you are in a situation and you just want to say, I'm not liking it right now, or I don't like what's happening right now. Then you can say, das gefällt mir jetzt nicht, or was gerade passiert, gefällt mir nicht. I hope you get the idea. Here is using the verb to frame questions, as when you want to ask someone else if they like something or some situation or not. So you use the verb gefallen in the first position, it must be conjugated, then the personal pronoun and dative to whom you are asking the question, and then the nominative subject. All right, here are a few examples. Okay, we saw the verb gefallen. There is also the noun gefallen. It is masculine, der gefallen, and it usually in normal day life it means it is used in a sentence which you see over here. Kannst du mir einen Gefallen tun? It can be können Sie mir einen Gefallen tun? This is a modal verb. This is a personal pronomen in dative, and this is the accusative. So einen Gefallen or der Gefallen, it means a favor. So here you are saying, can you do me a favor? Please write this for, this is a homework for you. Rewrite this sentence for each personal pronoun. Okay, it is time that you also, not just now, but I think we have discussed this before, that you should learn to pronounce correctly. And let us look at some common tricks to do that. So here are some common alphabet combinations, and we will go through how to pronounce them when we see them in a word. Let's start with the combination E and then I. So whenever you see E followed by I in a sentence, when you're trying to pronounce this, think of the word by and the I part of by, and that is how you pronounced I in a word. Examples: I, eins, Eingang, Arbeit; egg, one, entry, work. Then the combination I, E, think of it as pronouncing it as E and the word free. So Dieb, viel, sieben. Dieb is thief, viel is much. Remember, much and not many. Sieben is the number 7. Then you have AU. So when you want to pronounce AU in German, think of Au of cow or now. Examples are Bau, Grau, Blau, Schau. Then the combination EU, pronounce it. Think of the OI in boy or joy. So examples: Euro, Europa, Neu, Treu. Then the combination TSCH, when you want to pronounce this, think of the ch in words which or switch. Examples are Deutsch, Deutschland, Dolmetscher. So TSCH, TSCH, TSCH. Then you have just SCH to pronounce this. Pronounce this as sh or the sh of show. Examples are Schraube, Schraubendreher, Schnee, Tisch, Tischler. I hope you know what they mean. Then SP. So don't think that when you see SP, it is pronounced as how SCH is pronounced. Here, what I'm trying to say is only the S part of SP is pronounced as the sh of show. So Sport. Okay, you still have to pronounce the P, but because this P behind P you have S, so this S is pronounced as sh and not s. I hope you could follow. So Sport, Spanien, Spät, Spaß. Then ST, again same as SCH, but only the S part, not the T part. So examples are Stadt, Start, Student, Straße. And you might see this at the beginning of a word or a syllable. Syllable is, for example, auto. This word has 2 syllables, au and to. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. Then you have the combination CH. There are two ways to pronounce it depending upon the situation. No, so if you see CH, it is pronounced again as SCH, that is sh. In words like ish, shemi, you see CH. But then also it is pronounced as the k or the k of sick. For example, Bauch, Bug, Hoog, Rauch. So this is not Bausch and this is not ik. Okay, please pay attention. Then you have the combination CHS. It is pronounced as X or X. Examples are Fuchs. Fuchs, it is fox. Wuchs is growth. Wachs is wax. Okay. Then you have the combination TION. So here I'm not saying you pronounce TION as yuan. I'm just saying the I, when you say TION, this ION part is pronounced as Ion. Examples are Definition, Demonstration, Emotion, Information, Generation. I hope you get the idea. All right. This is, I believe, the last part of this session. There is the verb tun and there is the verb machen. If you ask me, on paper they mean the same thing, but you should never use them interchangeably. So not every sentence where there is machen you can use tun, and not every sentence where there is tun you can use machen. In some sentences, they are interchangeable, but not always. Please try to read as part of your homework, or you are already watching some videos, and see when they are using tun and when they are using machen. Homework for you is, the slide is empty, but the homework is actually quite big. You have to consider your daily life and choose one particular aspect, either from your work or from your personal life, and try to describe that in simple one-line sentences. And now you have enough knowledge of German to do that. This is just an advice from me. Please pause if you want to read. Thank you very much for listening. As you already know, that we conduct free sessions every Monday and Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Germany time CET. If you want to join, please reach out to us via this email address. Again, thank you very much for listening,